All right, thank you for your resume with Mr. Williams. Tell me about a time where you had to lead a team through a difficult period of time. Great, Mr. Williams, great. How many footballs would fill the University of Florida's football stadium? Not quick enough, Mr. Williams, not quick enough. If you were a type of fruit, what type of fruit would you be and why? Very good, Mr. Williams. Want to make sure to take this into consideration, and we'll let you know soon. Have a great one. And that is not a way to do an interview whatsoever. Today's video is going to cover the interview. Hey everyone, my name's Kyle Crooke, back here again with Milestones Company. This is the part 2 video of our 3-part inaugural series that's all about recruiting. The first video was on initial touch points. This video today is all about interviewing. And the third one, which is going to be our next video, is going to be all about onboarding your employees. Now, to get to the topic today about interviewing. As you could see through that interview that I just gave, that mock interview, if you will, it was absolutely miserable. I spent the entire time taking notes and half the time on my phone, which I've seen many a recruiter do, unfortunately. I wasn't engaged at all in the conversation. I wasn't even looking at Mr. Williams. I was leaning back in my chair, totally disengaged. How can you, as an HR professional, specifically as an interviewer, how can you expect a really confident, comfortable, engaged conversation and dialogue between you and Mr. Williams or a Miss Johnson if you're not the one who's initiating the actual engagement yourself? That brings us to the first of 3 points that I want to discuss today. In a nutshell, I want to talk about 1, setting the stage, 2, executing the main scenes, and 3, nailing the end credits. Yes, this is a video analogy. Personally, I do love videos. Here on Milestones Company, we particularly love The Office, so we love playing those clips because they're super applicable to really anything that HR professionals do, right? Right, Toby? Anyway, let's focus on the first tip, which is all about setting the stage. As I mentioned before, if you are disengaged, if you're not energized and genuinely looking forward to talking with the candidate and treating that person like a human, then the interview is not going to go anywhere. You're doing yourself a disservice, you're doing your organization a disservice, and you're ultimately doing the candidate a disservice as well. For the first few minutes of an interview, stay away from looking directly at the resume, stay away from getting out your mighty Padfolio and taking a bunch of notes. Just talk to the candidate. Ask them how they're doing, how their day's been, how their week has been, whatever's applicable, what their weekend plans are. Just have a nice dialogue to build rapport, which is ultimately going to allow the candidate to be a lot more comfortable with you. It's already very nerve-wracking and a very filling process to be interviewing. So anything that you can do to really show your best foot forward, ultimately showing the company's best foot forward, is going to set the standard for a really good mark for your candidate, not only to hit, but also to exceed. Because as a candidate feels more at home, can understand more of your vibe, your company's vibe, the company culture, then the candidate will be able to better articulate his or her particular technical skills and can also get a more realistic understanding of what your culture and what your opportunities look like, which ultimately is a win-win. So second, to focus on executing the main scenes. Now that we've set the stage and the context, we want to execute the main scenes. One question I asked there was actually a legitimately good question at the beginning of the video, which was name a time, describe a time where you had to lead a team through a difficult situation or a difficult time period. That's a very good question. Obviously, I did not ask it in an engaged manner, just for emphasis, of course. But if you're really going to focus on the bread and butter of executing the main scenes, if you will, focus both on the technical skills that the role requires, and equally focus on understanding that person's ability to communicate, lead, to handle stress. Make sure just to have those really well balanced. And at the end, if there's time, then I would definitely recommend instituting one or two of the kind of backup main scenes with those abstract or even or conceptual questions, which will allow you to further evaluate the candidates based on their natural response. And it's honestly, those types of questions are great ways for you to interject as well, to give your opinion and have the candidate feel even more at home. So now that you've set the stage, you're executing the main scenes when it comes to the questions, and not only executing with the questions, but you're still very engaged, and you're not taking the entire time to take notes. It's important to take notes, but it's also equally important to look at the other person, hear them, and to really validate them as well. So execute not only the questions during the main scene, but also the nonverbal cues. Next, last but not least, for the third one, we're going to go to the end credits. Something that is extremely frustrating for so many job candidates is that they feel they've done an incredible job with the interview. They're super excited to join the company, and they're not invited back for a second interview. They're not provided the job opportunity. That happens. But what's unacceptable is that so many recruiters and HR professionals out there fail to reach back out to the candidates to officially close the loop and say, hey, we're sorry, we weren't able to fulfill you for this role, but we definitely like to keep connected for any future roles. And a lot of professionals don't even give feedback, whether it's real-time feedback with the candidate or over email or a follow-up telephone call. Just taking 1 or 2 minutes to provide very valuable insights and feedback is not only good for you and being able to be able to articulate more so of what you're doing as an interviewer and getting more self-aware in what you're looking for yourself, but also will help the candidate interview at other companies, interview at your company for different roles as well. And it's also going to reflect very well on your company, not only how you treat the community, how you treat employees, how you treat shareholders, but how you treat people who may not necessarily be a fit for your company. That really speaks volumes of yourself as the interviewer and your organization as a whole. Now, I know that was a lot that we discussed. Today was all about the interview specifically, and we talked about setting the stage, executing the main scenes, and nailing the end credits, which, please be candid, provide feedback, provide a closure to the loop, whether it's a yay or nay, just to provide that closure for the candidate and to empower them along their journey. And hopefully, when they do get the offer, you'll be able to onboard them well, which is something that we'll discuss in our next video. Again, I'm Kyle Crooke with Milestones Company. Looking forward to seeing you soon.